You want the cloud?
Yep.
The cloud?
Yes.
Okay.
I see the recording.
Hold on.
I'm just going to give a
Okay,
countdown.
I'm going to go live now.
All right. Smile, Reggie.
All right.
Here we go. Can you close that door? Thank you. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to the Zorich Podcast. I am Chris Zorich, and on today's show, we have Reggie Brooks. All-American, the person who single-handedly beat Penn State in the Snow Bowl, 5th in the Heisman voting. I'm going to talk to you about that. Drafted in the second round to the Washington Redskins, and currently the Assistant Athletic Director of Alumni Relations at Notre Dame. And there's a new opportunity we're going to be talking about later with our former coach, Lou Holtz. Reggie Brooks, welcome.
Thank you. What took you so long for me to get on? I mean, again, nothing to get. You had some great guys ahead, but I thought we were boys. I mean, used to be coworkers, and
wow.
I think I'm like the 9th person or something in the queue.
That's so bad. That's
okay.
So bad.
I didn't know where I fit in.
Well, now I'm starting to sweat now. Wow. Okay, Reg. Well, actually, what had happened was, I'm just randomly kind of picking people and making sure that I got my guys that I truly love on first in the first several shows, and you're included in that first several show. I wanted to kind of do something a little different, and I had a couple podcasters on, which I think is really cool because we're looking from the fan aspect of the love of Notre Dame. These folks never went there. They just have a great passion. So for those of us who went there, worked there several years, how many years you got, man? 50?
I got 16 now. Wow.
No.
Yes.
So
I know that because we came here with my daughter when our second daughter when she was 3 months old.
No way.
She's 16, high schooler, going into junior year now. So that's how I know how many years I've been in Notre Dame.
Oh my Lord! All right, well, we're gonna get into that, but this is for this is a little caveat. Reggie and I and David Brochu, Harold Swanigan, and Tom Timmerman, a couple times a month, we have a little Zoom dinner together. So this is going to be kind of old hat for Reggie and I because we're so used to talking to each other, and literally some of those conversations would go on till 5, 6, 7 hours. So this is going to be old hat for us. So if we tend to
we might go over.
if we tend to go over, just shoot us a text message or something and let us know we need to be quiet because we're just going to ramble. Before we get started, I just think it's so interesting. I love talking to the guys about this. One is kind of walk us through, and you have a really interesting situation because, your brother played at Notre Dame before you did, and I believe you guys went to the same high school, right?
Same high school, same middle school, same preschool.
Oh, Lord.
Same elementary.
Lord. Okay, so before we get into how you got to Notre Dame, let's talk a little bit about now he's older. And we're talking about your brother, Tourney. And was he always kind of was he the one involved in football first? You had to follow him all the time, or how did that work out?
Oh, pretty much. I mean, I actually started out in track. I was the fast one, and then because you couldn't start playing football until you were in the 5th, 6th grade. So Tony's 2 grades ahead of me.
Right.
So I wanted to play with them so bad. I don't think I fudged my age, but I kind of snuck in there
like 20. It's like 50 years ago. You can say that. You can.
I snuck in there, and I would actually start playing and got to play with him in Pop Warner, and I really hated practice though. He loved it. I mean, he loved the physicality of it. I didn't like getting hit. I mean, track was, hey, just run. You don't get touched. Football, big difference. So being physical was not not something I was really started out with. I kind of like, developed as I played more.
So was there ever a time when you guys were in the same backfield together? I mean, I know you guys are 2 years apart, but was there ever a time when y'all were both in the
high
same backfield?
school and at Notre Dame? And I do believe we're still the only brother tandem that scored a touchdown in the same game.
In the same game. In college or?
In Notre Dame.
Really?
And I want to say, I'm trying to think which game it was, but like I said, because he stayed an extra year.
Right.
And so it was one time, he was he actually played fullback. We're in the backfield. Same time he went to fullback, and I was playing tailback. He was number 40, I was 41. Great times, great memories. And I just remember we both scored a touchdown in the same game.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And we did that in high school, my sophomore year. For one game, when we were blowing this team out. So
wow.
The coach was cool. I was a sophomore, and again, when he was a senior, I got to play because like freshman, you had to play on the freshman team.
Right.
And then, but sophomore year, but his senior year, we actually went to state that year, and he took us to state. But I got to play in the backfield with him one time. It was awesome, man. It was like, I always looked up to my brother because, Tony, he's this big personality, and everybody, he's gonna let you know he's in the room.
Right.
That wasn't me. I was just like, hey, I'm cool with just being in the background and just, being a part of the team. He had to be the center of attention. And that, like I said, that kind of worked for us because he was the center of attention. I just kind of like hung out and said, hey, I'm Tony's little brother.
So, but eventually, did you always feel like you'll have your time? Or did it ever piss you off? Were you ever upset about it? Or were you kind of like, man, dude, I'm the better running back. What's up? Why not playing?
Well, for me, it was just, again, you think about the running backs that were in the backfield when I came to Notre Dame for that purpose. Because I wanted to see, how did I measure up against the best?
Okay.
And, you had Anthony Johnson, Braxton Banks, Mark Green, my brother, Ricky Waters, Rocket, Rodney Culver, Jerome Bettis, Ray Zellers, Kenny Spears, and people don't even know.
Oh, that's right.
Dorsey Levens was my class, and he was a freak. And he wound up transferring. It just the sheer talent in the backfields that were at Notre Dame. But that's I enjoyed that level of competition. And my dad always told me, you start something, you finish it. So it wasn't an opportunity. Because there was a time when I was like, hey, I'm, a little bit after Dorsey transferred, I was thinking about transferring to Oklahoma State.
Really? Okay, well, hold on. Listen, I want to get back. Okay, so high school, your brother goes. So what did you think about now? So, were the same schools that looked at your brother, were they looking at you?
Yeah, most of the same schools, but then like I said, I was also getting recruited for track at Florida and Tennessee.
Okay.
I had offers from Michigan, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, UCLA, USC, Miami. So, a lot of the top teams, A&M was kind of the big dog in Texas when we were coming through.
Okay.
So A&M was kind of like overshadowing Texas, if that's even possible. But actually, Oklahoma State was probably recruiting me the hardest other than Notre Dame. And, I had such and my mom kind of wanted me to stay close. So, Oklahoma State was very tempting. But it wound up that both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State were both on probation the year I came out.
There you go. All right.
And it just, again, and Notre Dame had just won the national championship, all the hype. And I'd been up to some games. So I knew I knew a lot of you guys, and I'm like, hey man, I'm sitting here talking to Tim Brown. Like after the game, you guys have meetings, and I get to meet all these ball ass dudes, and I'm like, hey. And again, we had a lot of, it was a lot more swag.
Right.
It wasn't that, because again, when I saw the photos of Notre Dame on the TV, it was kind of like choir boy, and it was like, these cats were far from the choir boys.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
and that was the thing that edge I really that drew me a lot. That was one of the things that drew me more than anything else. Was like I said, this is not, hey, just come here and you got to go to mass every day. And I did have a concern about that for a while. Like I said, that was one of the things that my mom was really nervous about. She thought that Coach Holtz was going to try to convert us to Catholicism.
So you're obviously running track. Did Holtz entice you about the chance maybe you can run track at Notre Dame as well?
No. Like I said, that never even came. Because again, like I said, you didn't think of Notre Dame as a track school.
I'm just saying.
It was a lot distance, yeah. Like I said, and I wasn't running. I did not like cross country. We used to actually train cross country in high school in preparation for track, and I'm like, no, long distance sucks. So Notre Dame was. You hear about the Texases, the Floridas, the LSUs, the USCs in track. So
right.
And my mom loved track. So
okay.
I was like, if I was going to do track, it was just more of a, it would be for her. I mean, I like track, but it wasn't necessarily my thing.
All right. So you are now, you've committed to Notre Dame. What were your, again, I mean, it's got to be a lot of pressure, man. Your brother's there, your brother's balling. So you get to Notre Dame. Who are you rooming with when you first get there?
Oh, so we came in a week early. Actually, because when the students came back, I was rooming with freaking, I don't remember this dude. It was so I thought I was gonna be able to room with Tony, but he wound up, he had dismissed for a year.
Okay.
Came back.
Right.
And my roommate for my freshman year was this random ass dude that he just pissed me off. I don't know.
Really?
We did not get along.
Oh my God.
I wanted to whoop his ass so many times.
Wow.
Because he was one of those, typical nerd guys like
right.
Study. It's like, again, I understand you got to study, and it was like, but dude, you need to chill. He was trying to he was like kind of like he was like, oh well, passive aggressive type people, and it's like, dude, again, for me, Notre Dame was a shock to the system, especially culturally. So
well, your brother didn't tell you? I mean, but you gave him the visit. I mean,
my visit, my brother was my host. I saw his ass one time.
I remember the story. You got the story. Great story.
He just left. I didn't see his ass again. You know how you like to see him, you come in, here's your recruit.
Right.
After that, I didn't see his ass till he came home for break.
Oh my God.
Because like I said, I came on my official visit in January, and it's freaking cold. And Notre Dame was the only school that you had to go and see academic people. So I had to get across campus.
Wow.
To go, meet with like admissions.
Right.
I didn't know where the hell I was going, and I literally, if it wasn't for this grounds crew guy to tell me where to go.
Oh my
dude,
God.
He just left me hanging like the whole trip.
That is hilarious.
I saw him when I first got there, and you get paired up with your host. Gone.
All right. So now you came in playing DB, right?
Actually, I came in playing running back, but I was transitioned my sophomore year because,
okay.
Like I said, my class, we had no defensive backs in that class, and then and so we lose PT, DJ, and Stan.
Right.
And so the next class was when you had Tom Carter, Jeff Burris, Greg Lane, John Covington. Right. So a whole slew of defensive. They recruited a bunch of DBs.
Okay.
But Coach Holtz was not big on freshmen, so playing that much. So you had to basically be rocking if you're gonna play as a freshman.
Right. Exactly.
So they moved me over. Man, if it wasn't for T-Light,
you'd be gone, huh?
I'd be gone.
What happened?
Because I came into Notre Dame weighing 185, between 185 190.
Okay.
I could not, as a DB, could not weigh more than 182, and I would weigh, yes. I was basically, I could not eat, nothing.
Oh my God. Y'all had weight requirements? I didn't know that.
Because Chuck Heater weighed my ass every day.
That is hilarious.
Oh my gosh, it was the worst thing. And again, I hadn't played DB since I was like freshman, sophomore in high school. I didn't, like my last 2 years at Booker T, I didn't play DB. I was just offense. So again, but I was an athlete. You know, coach, like I said, he was big on athletes. So I shifted over, you know, and like I said, I will say this, T-Light has the smoothest back pedal I've ever seen. This dude is always clean. I don't think did he ever need to get his uniform washed?
Seriously, I didn't think when he made tackles, like the dirt didn't even get in his jersey.
Yeah, it just stayed away. It stayed away. And he would never come in the damn huddle. He'd go off to his little island and field corner, wave, like, what's the call, and let's go.
And it's funny because half the times he didn't even hear the call, and he would look over to Pat, he would look over to Stan, and Stan was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it was hilarious. You are listening to the Zorich Podcast with Reggie Brooks. So now you've been told that you're going to play DB. Last time you played it, you were 13 or 14 years old. I mean, what's going through your mind? Are you like, you know, hey, Todd, thank you very much. But, I mean, what kept you at Notre Dame?
My dad. So I had actually, like, called Oklahoma State and was locked in to say, I'm out.
Really? So I didn't know that.
And I wound up calling my dad and was like, hey, because you had to get, I wanted to get his blessing. Because he's the reason one of the main reasons Notre Dame was even on the radar. Because when Tourney was being recruited, Tourney was going to throw. He was going to Oklahoma because they were going to pay him.
Wow.
And so him and Barry, because again, flashy, like the center of attention. Barry had it, and he was going through his mail because Tourney was like the top player in the country out of Oklahoma.
Okay.
He was number, and he would just pick up mail and was just tossing it. He would actually have bags of mail, and he was just tossing the stuff away. And my dad sees the Notre Dame golden dome helmet in the corner, and he's like, "Oh!" And he just starts telling us about the Gipper and
oh my Lord, okay.
Because my dad was, like I said, grew up in Oklahoma. He grew up in Texas, moved to Oklahoma, actually went to Tennessee State went to the Army because he was born in 1925. So
wow.
He went through the Depression. So he was a lot older, and so he had a reference of, because this is when Notre Dame was in its heyday.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so especially in the 40s,
right?
When they went to lose a game. So he was telling us about all this, and we're just like, "What are you talking about?" Because again, all we knew was the option. Oklahoma in the option, Oklahoma State, I formation. Notre Dame was not even on the radar, not even close. We didn't know where Notre Dame was.
That's crazy. All right, so so what's the conversation with him? Is he just like, your ass is staying, or I was like, Dad, this is just not for me. I want to come home. He was like, did you sign that letter of intent? I was like, yes, sir. He's like, well, you're gonna honor your commitment. Click. Wow, that was all.
That was it. That was it. And again, I'm like, and this is how dumb we were. Because how many times did Coach Holtz threaten to take your scholarship?
Oh my God,
you believed his
exactly.
ass.
Right.
Well, this is my dad's like, I don't have a choice. I got to figure this out. So I'm like, 13-hour car drive away. I can't fly back. Figure it out.
Well, I was just gonna say, how times have changed, right? I mean, now you got kids transferring every year, and
every semester. You got
exactly. All right, so do you play at all as a DB or? Yeah,
actually, I wound up starting for a couple of games.
Okay.
And I will say this: the kicker that got me was the Penn State game. I mean, the Stanford game. I had to we playing freaking man coverage, and I'm manning up against Ed McCaffrey.
Oh my!
This dude was 6'5".
And you're 5'6", right?
5'8".
No? Okay, all right.
And it's just like throwing the ball up. And like I'm in this dude's chest. Just go up, boom.
Do you remember how many yards he hit on you, or was it ridiculous? Or
hey, he scored a touchdown on Todd. I'm just gonna throw that out there. He did not score a touchdown on me.
Okay. He
racked up a lot of yards.
He racked up a lot of yards on you, but then scored on Todd.
Yeah, so I didn't give up a touchdown, so that's my only saving grace in that game. You know, it was ridiculous, and we're like, why can we not play fucking zone? Can we do a little zone, please? Because this dude was killing me. I mean, he was killing me. It was like every time we line up, quarterback look over and yeah, here it comes.
So was Chuck Heater having a heart attack, or was he just like?
Oh, he was foaming at the mouth. He was always like over the Reggie. You got to do that. Come on. What are you doing? And I'm like, even Todd was saying we need to go somewhere. He like trying to help me out.
He was trying.
Yeah, that was brutal. That game right there was like, I don't want to play this position.
Well, the next year you go back. So what was that? I mean, was Holtz like, or you needed?
Oh yeah, he was very much. He was like
after that game.
Well, not just that season.
Okay.
Because again, Rod Smith was he started the season. Right. I came in and finished up. Actually, had an interception against Michigan that sealed the win.
Nice.
And so I started a couple of games, had decent success, and I even played throughout the year. But again, Rod came back in and was wound up, finishing the season as a starter, and we had and some of the freshmen started to play a little more as well. But it was just, Coach Holtz was like, "This is how you're gonna make it to the NFL. Is you got to play DB." And I'm like, for one, I sucking weight. I was like, that's the reason I stopped wrestling, is I didn't want to suck weight.
Right.
And it was just a miserable existence. And Chuck Heater was not the nicest guy, compared to Jim Strong, who was the running back coach.
Right.
Love Coach Strong, man. Silver Fox, he looked out for you. But Heater he would just be like on you constantly over just, if I was like a pound over, he's freaking out. And just I don't know if I said, Ty didn't like his ass either, so I didn't feel so bad. Because like I said, he would try to get on Ty. It's like, dude, this is two-time All-American consensus.
Right, go on, man.
Todd would ignore the hell out of him.
Right.
And the meeting room were just hilarious. He's trying to coach Todd up on something, and T-Light is like, yeah, whatever.
All right, so Holtz, did he ask you, or did he say, "Hey, you're going back to running back"? Or
well, I told him, like I said, he tried to say, he said no, and I'm like, well, I'm not playing DB. I said, I was to the point of like leaving, and he said you can go back, but and it was because again, like I said, the guys that were in the backfield, it was, it was a ton of guys, and Rodney Culver.
Right.
Rocket. This is so in '91. It was a little less, but you still have my brother Rodney Culver, Jerome.
Right.
But this is right before I made the move right before Dorsey
transferred. Right.
So
he went to Georgia Tech.
Dorsey
right?
won the starting job coming out of the spring.
And he transferred to Georgia Tech, or
transferred to Georgia Tech. Because
really?
He went from starting coming out of the spring, he got injured, and when we came back to camp for 2 days,
right?
He had gotten dropped down he got injured at the end of fall, at the end of spring ball.
Okay.
And he went from number 1 to number 5.
Ouch.
Because he got injured, and not it's like he's like, the hell with this. And
All
Dorsey's
right.
like 6'2",
Yeah, he's a machine.
30, and was, an athlete. And then he went on to have a great career in the league. But, that's just how competitive that backfield was.
Oh, it was insane. So what I'm doing, we're going to talk a little bit about what happened when you made that transition. But what I'd like to talk to guys about sometimes is give us an understanding of a moment that you cherish at Notre Dame that does not involve athletics, right? So just something that during your time there as an undergrad, not the 50 years you spent working there, but the time as an undergrad, like do you remember something where you kind of like, man, I'm glad I'm here versus not even had nothing to do with athletics, but just kind of a moment that was a non-athletic moment?
I met my wife.
There you go. See, I kind of walked in the extra.
That was like the best thing.
Christina had me put that in there. So,
seriously, because she was, my tutor. And again, it was like hanging out. The one place I really enjoyed hanging out was in the huddle.
Okay.
Because it was,
So explain what the huddle is for those folks who don't know.
So it's kind of like the student union, if you will.
Right.
That's where it had food court, and there were some classes in there, and like I said, you could do some study rooms. And they also had a barber shop in there, apparently, but it was for cutting our hair, but,
In time.
Yeah. So, we would, a lot of, like I said, and I was, again, more comfortable around, black and brown kids because that's what I grew up around.
Right.
And that was, being around, white people was a little difficult for me early on because it was just a culture shock.
Right.
And that was the one place where all those black students would hang out, and there was this one area where they hang out. And, and that's kind of where I said, where I met my wife. And she's, to this day, she still says I was stalking her, which is a lie. But,
Well, how did, I have Christina's version here. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, please don't have that.
So, how did you guys meet, man? You said she was your tutor. What was that situation like?
Well, like I said, that wasn't, I had actually been introduced to her, which was really bad, my recruiting visit. And, Notre Dame is a dry campus, but you do partake of adult beverages. And
every now and then.
Yeah. And I got just wasted.
And she saw you like that?
Yeah. And it was crazy because it was at a party and, we're hanging out and I don't remember, and she remembers meeting me and she knew Tourney. And like I said, a lot of the black students knew all the black players. So we're at the party and I'm just gone. And Tourney was like, oh, he's not like me. He's nice. And she meets me and I'm just wasted. And, trying to mac on every girl that walks by. And so she always reminds me of that because when I got to school there, I didn't remember her. I don't remember
so
people.
Bad. You need to lie, dude.
It was so bad.
Oh, my God.
And so, I would so we had classes kind of around in the same area, Hayes Healy, business classes. So I would see her from time to time. I would, kind of wait around and, wait for her to come out of class just to, say hi and just say what's up. And I don't consider that stalking. I just like trying to be polite and nice and, maybe walk her to the next class or something.
Waiting for her after class is not stalking. See, now in these days you get arrested for that.
No, it was not, it was not like stalker. It was just want to make sure she got to her next class, okay.
Safely? Because apparently
chivalry.
It's a danger. Oh, is that what it's called? Okay.
Yeah, chivalry.
Yeah, I think I'm going with Christina and saying stalking. I don't know.
But no, that was, like I said, the thing that always stands out to me is, like I said, that's where we met and, just the experiences that we had there together and, and it just set the tone for our we just celebrated over 25 years of marriage.
How awesome is that? That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, okay, so now I'm going to ask you a football memory, but it can't be of your success. So, yeah, it could be a team success, something like that, but just kind of give us something that you remember that was memorable for you as a team. So not necessarily like, you scored a touchdown or you win a game or whatever, but just kind of as a team.
It was the Florida game when we won the Sugar Bowl.
Okay.
That was, in terms, like I said, of just a team effort and camaraderie, because I didn't play. But just, it's like during the bowl week, you're going through, and this is one of our down years because we were 8-3.
A down year, right?
Yeah, 8-3, and that was, literally, there was question about do we go to a bowl game?
Do we deserve to go to a bowl game?
Right. So we wind up going to the Sugar Bowl, and we're ranked like number 17 or 18 or some low number, and we're playing like number 4, number 3.
Right.
4. And we're walking, you remember I said you're there for a week, and hey, New Orleans, you're New Orleans.
Right.
Florida. But Florida fans are the worst.
Really?
Oh my God. Everywhere we went, Gator chomp. And then you got this whole thing of what's the difference between Notre Dame and Cheerios? Cheerios belong in a bowl.
Oh!
You're talking about a whole week of this. Just everywhere you go, you got to hear, these arrogant ass, Florida fans. Oh, we're gonna kill you guys, and man. So we go in the locker. So we come out, go through pregame. We come back into the locker room, and they switched out the jerseys and the socks. So
no way.
We had the white jerseys because we were the visiting team,
right?
And then we had the blue numbers.
Wow.
We come back in. It was white jerseys with a green number, and then they had the green
way. Socks. Y'all had to be pumped.
Dude, the locker room went nuts. It was like, it's over. And so we go out there again, and just how methodical it was. And I remember Coach watching our defense, and we were employing, because we would just drop, because they had Shane Matthews as the quarterback, and they had some killer-ass receivers, speed all over the place. But he was a statue. And so we were dropping 8 and 9 people. We were rushing with 2 and 3 guys.
Wow.
So there was no passing lanes. And that just frustrated the hell. They would move the ball, but they get in the red zone, peter out. And then the second half, freaking Jerome Bettis goes absolutely berserk, like right up the middle. And this is actually, we're just gonna keep pounding. And again, they were up, they were kicking field goals. Man, that second half, we ran through them like a hot knife through butter.
What was the final score?
I don't even remember, but I know it was like 34 to 20 something.
Okay.
And again, we scored Jerome scored 3 times in the second half.
Jeez,
Rodney Culver was running crazy. Tony was running crazy. That second half, we just started rolling. It was, and like I said, I rode the sideline because I know, hey, after the game, we're gonna go down. We're gonna be on, go down the French Quarter, and have a ball.
All right,
now you win, you go play. You win a game, you enjoy yourself, and that was like I said, of not being. Just the excitement on the sideline of the team. And just being able to shut that, because they had a bunch of fans there.
Oh, I could imagine. Shut them
up. And I remember it was Jerome, Rick, and I think Cookie Rodney coming off the sideline doing the Gator chomp after Jerome scored one time.
Wow.
Loved it.
Wow. All right. In a minute, we're going to talk about some of your success, but you are listening to the Zorich Podcast with Reggie Brooks. If you'd like to listen to this interview and our other interviews, please check out my YouTube page at Chris Zorich 50 and press subscribe. Please press the subscribe button. So now you are the man at Notre Dame. There's 2 games that you're kind of synonymous for. And I don't know if you remember one, but I'm sure you remember the other one. So, of course, we have to talk about the Michigan game. So can you kind of walk folks through that? Because we've joked about it with you kind of when we're all hanging out, but kind of tell the story of, you just start with that play, but give folks an understanding of what happened.
So this is senior year, and this is one of the first times we don't play Michigan in the first game.
Okay.
So we played Northwestern in Chicago the week before. We come back, and Michigan is just, one of those rivalry games. And it's between Michigan and Penn State and Michigan State, those three teams we play every year, and it was just a battle royale. So you got to know, hey, we knew after playing Northwestern, strap on your big boy pants. It's game time, and we going to this game, and we're moving the ball, which was we weren't surprised necessarily, but it was a little easier than we initially thought it was going to be.
Okay.
And so we run an option, and Rick comes down the line.
Rick Mirer,
the quarterback, pitches out, and I mean, the thing about it, it's like, gosh, I see Corn Brown filling the alley, and I'm like, oh man.
Was actually a defensive
coordinator at Notre Dame.
Coordinator for Notre Dame for a minute, but go ahead, sorry.
And so I come, and like I said, and again, all this is not by memory. This is watching it. I don't remember the play. So I see him coming down the alley, and it's like, whoa, and he was coming. He was coming to lay me out, and he came. I spun off him, hand down, got hit again, stumbled, and the corner from the left side came and just drilled me in the back base of the neck about the 4 or 5 yard line, and stumbled in, fell out. And the first thing I remember after that was Jim Russ, because he was on there with the smelling salt.
Right. So Jim Russ was our trainer. And so literally what happened, and obviously I'm not that technical to have video of it yet, but eventually we'll be there. But literally when you're watching it, he gets hit a couple times. He goes in and scores, and you're like, okay, hey, this is great. But he doesn't remember anything because he actually got a concussion, right?
Well, they didn't call it concussion back
then. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You just got your bell rung.
Hit really hard, okay.
You got your bell rung. And so, like, the whole left side of my body was numb. Jeez. And I'm like trying to get feeling back in my arm, and like Jim Russ came. This one
you're laying on the ground, or are you on the sideline at this point?
I'm walking back. That's like I said.
Okay.
I couldn't. It was one of those where I said, I was out, and it was kind of bad because the several teammates like turned me over because I was face down. I was face down, not moving, and kid, I could have had a neck injury or something.
Right.
They just flipped me over.
Hey, man, get up, man.
Yeah, they're pounding my chest like, yeah. And I'm like,
oh, my God.
Out. And like Jim Russ comes over. I'm like, whoa. I don't remember nothing. I mean, it was just like,
wow.
And the thing about it, I went back in the game.
You did?
Yeah. And because I lied.
Of course.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh no, I can feel my left side. I'm fine.
I'm good. I'm good." Yeah. As your mouth is slurring,
and I was like, "Hey," they gave me the finger test, and I was good.
Oh Lord!
And so I go back in. We wound up tying that game, which was the worst. This is before they had
right.
Sucks because, like I said, if we win that game, we're in a better position. Because we should have won. We had like 5 turnovers. Well,
of course, but at least you didn't turn it over. So, what was your reaction? Like the first time, maybe in film session.
Sunday afternoon.
So were you just like, oh, that's what I did?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. So after the game, you go to the room with the press area,
right? Media
room, and they're asking me questions. I'm like, I don't remember.
Oh my God!
So it's like half that game was just like gone.
Oh, I could imagine. All right, so now this is where the real big boy pants come on. So you're playing in what was called the Snow Bowl, which was 93?
92.
92. I'm sorry. Okay, so you guys were there in Penn State.
No, it was at home.
Okay, I obviously didn't do my right homework. So
both these big games happened in Notre Dame Stadium. And the cool thing about it, they happened in the same section of the end zone.
I was going to say that. So, but it wasn't snowing when you started, right?
No, it was cold, but it wasn't snowing.
All right.
We had sun, sleet, snow, and then the sun came back out again.
Okay, so now it's fourth quarter. Y'all are down. I'm sorry, Notre Dame is down. And it's what? There's like somebody, Jerome scored, right?
Yep, he scored. So we used the 2-point conversion that we normally practice for the touchdown to Jerome.
Oh, okay, right. So now you guys are down by 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so instead of going for the extra point, because again, the situation is this is our last home game. We've tied a game and we lost to Stanford that year. So can't afford another tie. And if we're going to have any chance of making it to having opportunities play for in a big bowl and play for getting any picture of the national championship, we had to go for 2. And we it was kind of a play on the fly. And again, a formation we had run before, but it was kind of like made up. Coach was kind of directing traffic, and I got to give Rick Mirer prop because again, this was not I don't think we ran that play. That was not in the game plan for that week.
Okay.
What the play we had. So he processes, get the information because this is. I'm not sure if we even called a timeout. He called him over and was like, ran through a few things with Rick, gave us the formation, and we just went out and we didn't execute because it wasn't supposed to go to me.
Who's the
the play was not executed properly.
No way.
No, not even close. I had no. I was not even in the read.
Oh my God. Now, here's another question. How many passes had you caught that year?
1.
Okay.
Against Navy, 4 touchdowns. Okay,
fair enough. All right, so now the play is broken up. Rick is running around. He sees
Irv. It was supposed to go to Irv.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, and because he was supposed to do like come across and then come back.
Okay.
And I was on the left side going right. I was supposed to come back and clear out. So it's kind of a crossing pattern with Irv going and coming back.
So what happened?
Aaron Taylor likes to take credit for this by missing a block. I don't know how you can take credit because you missed a block. But he said because I missed my block, Rick was instead of being able to stay left with the read. He was forced to the right.
Oh my God!
So literally, Irv came and was like, "Come back," but no one followed me. And, I was supposed to drag across and try to take the safety and linebacker, out of the middle. Nobody followed me, so I was basically out there by myself.
And you catch the ball and win the game.
Win the game, but Irv also saves my life.
Okay, that I did.
Remember, like I said, back then they didn't have risk management, so literally people were on the back edge of the end zone.
Oh, okay, right.
And literally caught the ball, and everybody just collapsed on top of me.
Oh my!
And I'm getting trampled. I'm literally getting trampled under all these people, and Irv comes in throwing people.
No, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm terrified because I'm like. Closed in, I can't move. I'm getting trampled and all these people on top of me.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was freaking out, and Irv literally just throwing guys off me to get me out of there. And boom, there it is.
All right, so you have an amazing year, your senior year, and you're voted 5th in the Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
So now, does 5th get you a ticket to New York, or are you just kind of waving?
So I actually went to I was because they have a couple. I didn't go to the Heisman, but I did go to they have the award ceremony when they do the Lombardi, the Doak Walker, the Walter Camp. Right. So I went and on a trip for that.
Okay.
And I wound up coming in third in the Doak Walker Award because it was.
And the Doak Walker goes to
top running back.
Okay, gotcha.
And it was it went to Marshall Faulk.
Wow.
And so
okay.
and Garrison Hurst was that's who I would call it. So
Okay.
Marshall Faulk and Garrison Hurst. I'm okay.
All right.
But the thing that pissed me off about the Heisman was the guy that won. Again, nothing against Gino Torretta, but there's no way in hell he should have won the Heisman. If it should have been out of Garrison and Marshall Faulk. Period.
Right. Because Faulk came in second?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
I remember that.
That dude had to. And that was one thing I always remember about him is at the Doak Walker Award, talking to him, his football IQ is ridiculous.
Really?
Yes. He knows, because he was a really good receiver, too, out of the backfield, but he could also split out. He understood coverages, fronts, and man, just talking to him was like, dude, he was a sophomore at the time.
That's right. I forgot about that. Okay.
And again, people were talking about, well, he's at San Diego State, blah blah. I was like, I don't give a damn.
Right.
He was cold.
Nice.
But he was, like I said, a sharp guy. And like I said, it was cool because both those guys really good people. And they called Garrison Hurst from Georgia. They called him Smokey because he was so dark.
Wow. Okay.
So, but I mean, good dude, man. Like I said, good people. But that was the thing that always stood out to me about Marshall Faulk was just his understanding of the game. I mean, he was good.
You are listening to the Zorich Podcast with our guest Reggie Brooks. Okay, so now you have a chance to get drafted. You get drafted in the second round to the Redskins. So what was draft day like? Were you at the house? I mean, where were you? Were you freaking out?
I was actually at home in Tulsa, and we had a little mini party, and I was expected to go to the Cowboys.
Really?
So they had a guy at the house, because So it was a guy at the house because it was because like I said, I had a workout with the Redskins. I mean, I went to the Redskins facility for, one of the workout, and they did some other stuff. It was kind of, psychological testing and stuff.
Really? Okay.
I guess I did really well because I had no idea. Because I'm thinking they have, Ernest Biner, Ricky Irvin, and then Brian Mitchell. They're set.
Right.
So I didn't think I was there's no way. And I had, like I said, the Cowboys brought their whole staff up for a workout, and they worked out several of the guys because we had, that year we had 4 first-round picks. We had Rick was number 2, Jerome was 10, Tom Carter was 17, and Irv Smith was, I think, 20 or 27, somewhere around there.
Wow. And
I was expected to be the Cowboys, because they had the last pick in the first round. That was going to be me. And I had, subsequent conversations with them. And, I'm like, and again, growing up in Oklahoma, being a Cowboy, that was like, I'm like all in.
Oh my God.
And there was a guy at the house because we were, set to, like I said, boom, after I got announced, was going to drive down, fly to, because it was like a 45-minute flight from Tulsa to Dallas. And so this guy was at the house, and so he gets a call saying, hey, we're going to trade out of the first round. So the Cowboys trade the last pick in the first round and drop down to the 45th pick. I mean, the 46th pick.
Okay.
So when I got the call, I thought it was the Cowboys because they were calling, it was like the 45th pick, and it was the Redskins. So, but I'm thinking if the Cowboys said, hey, we're going to take you with the next pick.
Right.
Literally, the Cowboys had the very next pick at 46.
Wow.
And I wound up being Don Bro, the running back coach for the Redskins, and I'm like, what?
Well, can you hold on a second? Because I'm supposed to get a call in a minute.
And the dude is he's right there in the house. he turns beet red, man.
Oh my
It was crazy.
God, that's crazy.
I didn't know what to say. I'm like, oh, great, I think.
No way.
And guy wound up leaving, and that was it. I was a Redskin, and I would always see Jerry Jones on the sideline because he was Oklahoma State guy.
Right.
And I came really close to going to Oklahoma State. I was definitely
twice.
Yeah, exactly. So he would see me, and he would always introduce himself and say hey, and it was just that close to.
That's crazy.
I always wondered if I said no to the Redskins.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Could you say no?
Right.
Because Peyton Manning did it. So
well, but that was also like the first pick, but
yeah, exactly. So it's like I'm in the second round, so I don't know if I can have. I don't know if I'm allowed to say no.
No. I'm waiting for the guys to pick next. Sorry.
So it was crazy though. I said that was a weird situation altogether.
So now, how do you have a baller first year? You're rookie of the year, or you're on rookie of the year team, or what was that like?
It was. Oh man, I enjoyed it. I said, I love playing with the Redskins, and particularly the guys I played with, because they were a very veteran team. So I had a great relationship with Darryl Green, Tim Johnson, Charles Mann.
Okay.
Monty Coleman, Art Monk,
right?
Ricky Sanders, Brian Mitchell, and Ernest Biner was, man, that dude was all world to me, because he took me under his wing and was like, hey, kind of showed me what it meant to be a professional.
Okay.
And that was the crazy thing, is that I go from having these guys to all of them being gone the next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
so it was
that quick.
Yeah.
That quick, huh? Wow.
Well, because new coach came in.
Right.
Things changed real quick. So the rookie year, again, you remember, like I said, with Coach Holtz, it was like, if you screw up, you're out.
Right.
So we were used to processing information quickly.
Sure.
Learning the plays, learning what you're supposed to do, and you locked in, and you were able to process quickly. So I learned the playbook pretty quickly, and had some skills, so I understood what I needed to do. And so I just went out and competed. I was used to competing against top backs, because that's what I did. So but I never looked at it as, hey, I'm competing to start. I didn't look at it like that. I was just trying to make the team.
Right.
I'm like, I would go over there and listen to the offensive line calls, because I didn't do special teams for whatever reason. Rookie year, I didn't, and again, I didn't understand it, because like I said, Notre Dame, you played special teams.
Right.
And so, because I wasn't on any of the special teams, or some of them, so I would go we were kind of not doing anything, I would go over to the offensive line and listen to the line calls. And it really helped me to understand kind of like the plays and what they were looking at and what they were seeing based on the front. So, and I would listen for the calls
right.
on the O-line, and it definitely helped me to understand kind of where to go and, how they're blocking the blocking scheme based on, and just little things like that help. And a lot of it came from Ernest. Brian,
okay.
He was like, say, hey, this is what you got to be looking for. And like I said, he was just, super helpful and helping me kind of, understand and develop and learn how to be a professional football player. I mean, he was a great mentor, and I greatly appreciate it.
The new coach that came in was Norv Turner, right?
Right. So it was Richie Pettibone. So Gibbs retired
right
the year before, and Pettibone took over because he was a defense coordinator, Pettibone. And our offensive system went from, Joe Gibbs' system. Rod Dowhauer was the offensive coordinator.
Okay.
And they called this dude Star Wars. You remember the system, it's supposed to, like said, the defense system, if they called it Star Wars, it was just like this great system. It was they were cracking jokes about it because
it's that bad.
He tried to bring the West Coast offense into the system, and again, you had because Redskins' deep offense was built on power, counter, play action, deep balls. 5-7 step drop. So he tries to institute 3-step drops with Mark Rippon, and Mark's is not a fleet of foot at all.
Right. Okay. All right. So, but off the field, you kind of got involved with something interesting, which I did not know this about you. You should put this should be like the second tag in your bio after you met your wife in Notre Dame, of course. The Madden Bowl? What the hell? And apparently you were the first winner of it.
I've won
the first 2 in a row. Right. So explain that, because I was fascinated by that.
So, in college, we had the Sega Genesis, and so, you played video games. And I was,
right.
I was, you play a lot, and you play tournaments in school, and I got really good. So,
But really good, apparently, really good.
They had this event, and it was open to a lot. It was more of a celebrity deal. So you had like actors and musicians and former and NFL guys playing.
And this was at the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. So I went down early because, again, our Super Bowl is broken up over the course of the week in different events. And so it was Madden was the showcase game.
Right.
They had this big tournament, Madden Bowl tournament. And so I think I wound up playing like 4 games to get to the championship, 3 games to get to the championship.
Okay.
One, because they had this seating chart of all the players.
God.
And so
do you remember who you beat?
Who did he in the Blowfish?
Darius Rucker?
Yes.
No way. Are you serious?
Dude, by the way.
Very cool dude. Very cool dude. Very cool dude.
I don't know if he was the championship or it was another former player, but I did play against him and then wound up playing against one of the Naughty by Nature rappers.
Oh, really? Okay.
And to be honest with you, I was destroying people. I was really good. And this is the back. So first 2 years I win. And again, it was no,
competition.
Prize. So the third year,
okay, right.
Third year, wife has just been beating me up, so I don't enter the third year. I still go down to the Super Bowl, and guess what the prize was for the winner for winning the Madden Bowl?
No.
2-ticket trip to France.
Are you kidding me?
So I don't let her live that down.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. She meets on a recruiting trip. She meets on a recruiting trip. You don't remember her. You can throw the 2 tickets to France.
Yeah, it's like I said. Yeah, because she was like, "You always playing that damn game."
Baby, I'm practicing, baby. Come on.
Yeah, she wasn't having that. It's like,
That's
we
crazy.
had 2 kids at the time, and she's like, "You gonna get over and change the damn diaper? You gonna do something?"
So first 2 year, no prizes. And the third year, do you remember who won the third year?
I did go.
Right.
I just didn't participate.
Okay. But do you remember who won it the third year?
I can't remember the guy's name, but it was the guy I beat the previous year.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he was pretty happy that you were not playing that year. So.
Yeah. And I said, literally, and I destroyed him too. And it's like,
crazy.
If I would play with me, and again, our team was not great. So I said this.
Were you allowed to play?
Huh?
Were you allowed to play your own? I'm not going to say were you allowed to play with yourself, but were you allowed to play with?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Both years I played, and again, that's how good I was because I was playing with not a great team because we were like 4-12 my first year, and then like 5-10 my second year.
Wow.
So we were not great, and again, I was just killing people in the game. So,
okay, so you finished your career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
mm-hmm.
How was that? I mean, how was making that transition? I mean, was it an amiable departure, or were you pissed off, or how'd that go?
Well, I had a rough go in Washington. So after my first year, had a great year, and so this is the time of the collective bargaining agreement. So they wind up using my because again that's when you couldn't use an image of a singular player without compensating them.
Okay.
If you're on the team, so any marketing material. Now, if it was like three or more players,
right? Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
So and so the owner's grandson, John Cook's grandson, was the PR guy.
Okay.
So he, okayed using my singular image on the gosh, what else things are the pamphlet or the book,
a brochure or the
brochure,
media guide.
Media guide.
Okay.
So my agent, my marketing guy came and was like, because I didn't really know anything about it, didn't really.
Right.
And so, and he said, hey, that's not, they can't do that. So he was like, well, just, and I was like, well, just, ask for X amount of dollars, whatever you think is fair.
Right.
But they didn't want to do it.
No.
Because it was the owner's grandson, he got like pissy about it. So I wound up having to go see the owner's son was, so Jack Cook was the owner. Jack Cook was the owner.
Right.
And John Cook was his son, who was the president. So I go in and was like, thinking, okay, let's just meet and we can come to an agreement and settle on a amount. And so he is kind of like, no. And I'm like,
whoa, are you serious?
He called me a boy. And
wow.
I told him where to get off and let him have it. And, and after that, things went downhill from there.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then they kept me, I got injured coming right at the end of mini camp.
Okay.
So I was rehabbing and came back and was okay. So my third year with the Redskins, they were, just sat me. So I would go to the game and, and then when I would get to the game, you're not dressing.
No.
I would practice all week. It was crazy. Like I said, I had some of the defensive players were asking me why I wasn't playing. And like the media was asking me, and like I said, so when I get to Tampa, I find out from the GM of Tampa, they said that they tried to trade for me and the Redskins wouldn't trade me.
No way.
And so he also told me that, because I went there and talked, because they were looking at another player that was there, and he was asking me about it, and he was like, they was saying that you were a problem in the locker room.
Wow.
And just, I was like shocked. And he was telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, what? And he's like, no, you did not present any of this when they picked me up and said you've always been, team player, well liked.
Exactly. Come on.
Yeah, but they were saying, yeah, I don't want him. He's a troublemaker and problem in the locker room, and just all kind of crazy stuff.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so you finish your career in Tampa. How do you end up working for OIT at Notre Dame?
So,
because that's where your second career started, correct. And you haven't saying leave since. So I want to know, like, what did they entice you? How did they recruit you back to the Golden Dome?
So again, after I got released by the Buccaneers and then went back to Oklahoma, And so I tried to crack at it. So I went and did the NFL Europe thing.
Okay.
The Barcelona Dragons. Wound up getting hurt there, so I didn't have a good year. So no tape, no film.
Right.
I come back and I start working. My degree was in management information systems.
Okay.
So I start working for the Notre Dame group.
What was that?
Ray Siegfried. It was an aerospace company.
Okay.
So I was working in their IT group.
Okay.
So working there back in Tulsa, and then I, go back and finish my degree in '99. So I come back to Notre Dame, and they're going through a ERP implementation, which is an enterprise resource management system.
Okay.
So this is like when your computer system, you're transitioning to a more holistic that incorporates all your businesses. So Notre Dame was a transparency. So it was multiple businesses, but under the same umbrella. So they did repairs on engines, but they also made interiors. They did transparency. So the windows that make those. So they were each of those departments were kind of had their own computer system. Mm-hmm. So they didn't always talk well together. So they were transitioning to a new system. And I was actually on the IT management team that helped transition them from the singular systems that they were on to an enterprise system.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And was there for a couple of years. And then, my wife, Christina, had our fourth child, Raina, in November.
Okay. And
I had applied to Notre Dame because they were in the middle of a system change as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All so right. I applied there because, again, that's one of the things that we had always talked about. I said, where would be a place to raise a family? And so we, us, having gone to school there, met there, was kind of nostalgic. Hey, let's go back. And so, they actually found out later they had lost my application.
What?
In some way found it, and they called me because I had applied for the position several months earlier.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, hey, I'm not going to get it, so no big deal. And then, it was kind of happened real quick. So I go down in November, just shortly after Raina was our daughter was born. And then I go interview, goes really well. They make an offer. And February, I'm at Notre Dame.
Oh my God. All right. So now you're at Notre Dame, you're working at Notre Dame. How long were you in the IT department before you went over to athletics?
I was, so I got there in 2003, so 5 years. I was 5 years in the OIT.
Okay. So was that just kind of a weird experience for you, or were you itching to get to the athletics, or were you just like, hey, I'm working here and on game day, you just kind of walk around and do your thing?
So, because like I said, I was doing the post-game show. We were doing the post-game show.
Okay.
So, again, I didn't really think of, other than doing that, I hadn't really thought about athletics at all, just going to games. And it was kind of a miserable time then because we're getting so 07 was a pretty painful year.
Right.
So, you're talking about it on the show is just sucked. So, they actually came to me because they developed a position because they were having issues with the football alumni.
Yes, we were. I remember that. Yes.
Charlie. So
yes, we were.
They basically Kevin White created this position to be a kind of a buffer, if you will, between football alumni and the athletic department and the football program. Because Charlie wasn't very accommodating. And again, I didn't deal with Charlie very much at all because so I spent most of my focus on, dealing with the former football players.
Right. And
how to kind of bridge that gap and mend some of those wounds. So that was kind of the impetus of how I, in 2008, transitioned to OIT.
And by the way, there was a huge issue with Charlie and former players. And if you did not go on to the NFL, in Charlie's eyes, you weren't worthy of hanging out with the team or coming back. So literally, there were thousands of guys who, and this is just something simple as like during that week, want to come up and maybe see a couple practices. And, you know, they were either refused or they got to kind of run around and everything. And I remember, I may still have it, I don't know, but he sent a letter out to all of the Monogram football players. And he blamed it on, at the time, the administrator was Stan Wilcox. And he literally, in the letter, was like, blah, blah, blah. Hey, the reason why we had some issues was because basically Stan wasn't doing his job, but we rectified it. Please come back now. I was like, oh my. And then Stan went on to become the athletic director of Florida State and is now like the number 2 or 3 person in the NCAA. Right, so really? Okay, thanks, Charlie. Anyway, so as a football alum, Reggie was the most accommodating, did everything. I mean, that program, a lot of folks don't know this, but that program, as far as alumni relations, got 5,000% better because Reggie did his job, and he did it very well. And I remember I would tease him because it's almost like he had to have 5 phones because every alum from like, every alum who was alive would call him probably like on a Wednesday for a Saturday game. I'm coming in, I need some tickets, or I mean anything, right? And you were setting up reunions. I mean, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. But I do remember kind of the funnest time I had when I was working at Notre Dame, we happened to be working there at the same time, was, and I love this because although we didn't get to travel with the team, the away games, when we were working on campus were awesome because on Friday we would have lunch at Bruno's, like the one way out. Where is that one at? The one.
It's out west.
Yeah, the one way out west. And literally, we would go in the back room, and we would have an extensive lunch period, or lunch
extended
lunch break, and then by the time we were coming back, we're hanging out, having a good time. But then, like now, it was ready for kind of the trend, and it's cool because the campus in Notre Dame. I mean, if you're working there, the game. First of all, during the week, it's insane, absolutely insane.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
On a game day weekend, it is like it's incredible, and I give Jack a lot of credit for having to balance all this stuff because that's Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director, because it's crazy. But the away games, it's actually pretty calm. And so we would kind of go from that lunch, we kind of hang out, and then we would all meet in Reggie's office. When I say, it was me, Dave Brochu, Tom Timmerman, Harold Swanee. We would just kind of hang out and have a good time and just kind of reminisce and talk crap. And, you know, we'd all get pissed why we weren't traveling with the team or whatever. But it was cool because that was kind of like our time to kind of chill.
And to bond, that was a great bond.
And you know, and it's funny because when I think about those times, my experience working at Notre Dame, those are the things I remember. You know, is just kind of being able to kind of relax a little bit. And then at the time, Pete Chivarelli had just given the money to enhance the Players Lounge. And so we were hanging out. So then on Saturday, because no one's on campus now because it's an away game, Reggie would hook it up where, I hope I'm not getting in trouble, Reggie, but he would hook it up where we would kind of hang out in the Players Lounge and watch the away game on like 10 screens. It was a great time. It was an absolutely great time.
It's been redone again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's even better.
No way, really?
Because again, remember you had all the games were on the same channel.
Wait a minute, remember that? So we were like, wait a minute, it's Saturday. Like we wanted to watch all the games, and Rick's like, yeah, nah, that's
only one game.
I'm like, wait a minute, you're OIT, to hook it up, and Reggie's like, nah, it doesn't play like that. What? So apparently in the beginning they went the cheap route, and literally only had, and I don't know how I'm explaining this, but had one cable going into the room for 10 TVs. Yeah. So literally, so we were thinking that first day, we were thinking like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have SEC on this TV. We're going to have the ACC, the Big Ten. Man, this is going to be the place to be. Man, one channel. 10 TVs, one channel. It was hilarious.
One feed. And so that was the main thing we said. We have to upgrade that. Now you come Friday night, Chevrolet Lounge. There's actually multiple games. There's a big screen TV.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
There's another 5 or 6 TVs on the side.
Oh, my God.
Each has a singular feed. So we're watching, like I said, if there's like in October, November, there's a basketball game on, you can watch that. So you get live feeds from the game going on. So if like soccer or volleyball is playing, you can get that live feed in there on one TV. Have like I said, whatever Friday night games are on, like usually I get Mac or somebody.
Right.
Those Mac schools, you get, if it's late enough, you get like the WAC.
Yep.
So multiple channels.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm not that sophisticated where I have video of it, but I'm sure you can go on Notre Dame's website. They'll have some footage of it. But so we were hanging out in there in its infancy, and I know it's improved a lot. But and it's something that was needed, right? So I think Jack did a great job in having something like this. The way it was enhanced because it gave players kind of a place to go. And one of the frustrations during Charlie's time, it really exploded, was that the players didn't feel welcome back. And so when they got the idea to create this lounge and kind of put those improvements in there, you had wine there, you had beers. It was a really nice time. And it was great seeing like a lot of the older guys when they came back because they had nothing. Guys from 77 team, 66 team, they really had nothing to come back to, like a place to go. And then there was sometimes a little program and stuff. So Reggie did a phenomenal job. So now, and of course we're running over here. See, I told you, man, this is one of our Wednesday night dinners, right?
We did warn them.
All right, so now I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So now, you mentioned before that you were kind of a semi-track guy. So now you have the opportunity to kind of be the administrator for the cross country team, or
what? I was cross country and track and field, but now we've split. Now the young lady's name is Claire Slabonik. She's the administrator for men's and women's cross country, and I'm the administrator for men's and women's track and field. So
so for those of us who don't know that, I know what that means, but can you kind of explain, because so what happens in the athletic department is, obviously the athletic director can't control every sport. And when I say control, you can't set budgets. You need hands-on. And a lot of times, if a coach needs to talk to administrator, a lot of times the athletic director, the deputy, the senior staff, they might not be around. And so the idea is to have folks that have access to the players and the coaches all the time. And, you attend practice and stuff like that. So, Reg, can you explain a little bit about what you did for those teams as administrator?
So, like I said, when I was administrator for both cross country and track and field, would travel with the team, would oversee budget, making sure that, we ran a tight ship, and also, like I said, we had, food, like I said, travel. So anything budget related I was a part of, but also working with our alumni, and that was, like I said, it kind of coincided with that, getting the alumni back. Just recently we had the an event with our coaches, student athletes, but also our alumni at the national championship for the cross country.
Oh, wow.
This year. And great event. We actually do, oversee in our the scholarships. So again, setting the budget and also working with the conferences, because we hosted the indoor indoor ACCs last year.
Oh, wow. I bet that was crazy.
But it was great because, again, we have an oversized track. That's another thing. Like I said, we just got a new stadium, outdoor stadium, the Harris Family Track and Field Stadium. Great great job on that. One of the things we're looking at now is to resurface the indoor track in Loftus. It's been great for us having the football team move to the new indoor space because it gives us more access to the Loftus Center and that track. And again, I'm doing coaching searches. We have had a couple of coaching searches. Joe Piani, also will say he enjoyed me because, again, was able to get him a little more money, because you got to go in there and fight for your coach because, again, there's so much money to go around. You have to make sure, you have the budget set and you we've been able to charter flights on certain occasions.
Well, but now Piani, he was there forever though, right? He was there when you were a player, right?
10 years.
Right. So I'm sure it was cool for him to have someone who understands, right, what it is to be an athlete at Notre Dame as his administrator, right? I mean,
exactly.
You went through it, you walked through it, you smelt it, you did everything.
And that was the thing about it, is like I said, developing, and that's why it's so important to develop relationships, with your coach, the assistant coaches, the student athletes. And I was very clear again with the student athletes, I'm not here to coach. So if it's a coaching or playing time, I'm talking to parents, I'm not your guy.
I'm only laughing because I'm sure you had to field phone calls from parents.
Yes.
Why isn't my kid playing? What the hell? I'm not the coach. I'm administrator. The coach doesn't. Man.
And that was the thing about it. I said when student athletes would come and complain about a coach, I'm like I said, hey, I'm not going. I mean, depending on what it was, but I'll talk to the coach. But I'm never going to throw a coach under the bus.
Right.
And it's like, understand, because again, I know, been there, like I said, well, I think I should be playing, or I should be competing.
Right.
I should have this. Well, when you really look at it, should you, compared to what? So
the person in front of you who just
exactly.
That's the championship, really?
So understand, and having that understanding, it was very helpful because coach knew, the coach knew, I'm gonna come to you and say, hey, here's what's going on. Hey, if it's something dire, hey, we need to get on top of this.
Right.
And, working through building the program and setting a standard, but empowering the coach to know, hey, there's someone here is going to fight for you and fight for your student athletes to make sure that they have the best experience possible. And was able to also get a few of our football guys, because that was one of the things, another thing that happened on the chart is that none of the football guys were allowed to run. We actually had several football players compete, and and again, talking to the administrator for football and saying, okay, hey, this is what we can do, and having that be that go between, but the bulk of it was just kind of letting Jack, this is what's going on.
Right.
We have some because we had a few things that came up around some alumni and some parents, and we dealt with it. And I think I appreciate Jack giving me the leeway to address it.
Right.
You knew if it came to a point where, hey, this is out of control, it's something that's really going to be a detriment to the student athlete or the coach, I'm going to bring it to him, and where it's not going to look bad on him.
Right.
So that was the thing. I appreciate that because it gave me some a better understanding of how to manage a program, not coach a program, but manage, and also not lord over the coach, but to say, hey, I'm here as a resource, and this is how we're going to get better and improve. And I think I've grown in that sphere, but it's really helped me to understand how to manage an organization, if you will, or a program.
Right.
Do it in a way that fits the organization you're in, because everybody is different. And, like I said, in transitioning to just being track and field only, I have to work with the other sport administrator, and, there's give and take. And I've been able to, help her along in some of the aspects of it to kind of say, hey, and again, someone did that for me,
right,
the sport administrator, which was, I really needed. And I said, one of the things that came up from again, this is kind of off topic, but we actually have a pro athlete program and how we engage our pro athletes across all of our pro sports. And it is really grown and developed, and something as simple as sending them a gift and a note has been, just amazing. I mean, we never did that.
Right.
Because you remember the first correspondence you got from Notre Dame after you left was, hey,
give me some money.
And that is, we've tried to make that the first thing that you're going to receive from Notre Dame athletics is a congratulations for making your team and a gift saying, hey, we appreciate you and how you represented the program and the organization. So, the first thing shouldn't be, give me some money. It's like, hey, how can we be of resource to you? And I
exactly.
phone with Matthias Farley and, going through this pandemic deal. It's like, hey, just reaching out. Hey, is there anything you need? And it makes a huge difference when the first thing that you're hearing from your institution is, hey, can we be of assistance to you? Not, hey, you need to do this for us.
Right.
And it is, and that stemmed from an idea that you presented from the very beginning. And it is really,
well, you and I had that experience. We kind of collaborated on a lot of stuff. So now we're going to kind of wind down a little bit, but now you have a new challenge in your life now. And not only will you be working with our former coach, but hopefully he won't be yelling at you like he did back in the day when we were players. But so kind of share with us kind of your thought process. Well, first of all, tell everybody what it is, and then kind of explain your thought process, because you're talking about leaving an institution that you spent 50 years at. You were going to be the Black George Kelly. And when I say that, the players who are listening will kind of laugh, because I told Reggie that a long time ago. But the idea that, you're going to be leaving this place, we all said, when y'all came back, hey, we're going to raise some kids here. This is going to be a great place for us to meet. And so for you to move, to leave that, explain to us a little bit about that, but then also what you're going to be doing for our former coach.
So I took the role with Holtz's Heroes Foundation is the organization, and again, people are related more so to Coach Holtz, but that's kind of what I want to move it. Not so much. It's not going to be about Coach Holtz.
Mm-hmm.
I know Holtz's Heroes is his name, but this is about the former players that played for Coach Holtz and the values that were instilled in us as teammates, as brothers, to better our community. So Holtz's Heroes is about supporting each other. We have the Bobby Satterfield Hardship Fund, which is focused to, when a former player falls on hard times or something happens to, catastrophic situation with them and their families, to be able to support them in that time of need.
And Bobby Satterfield was one of our teammates who actually passed away. So,
and it's focused on family. That's what my time in Notre Dame was about, was that family and that community that was built. And the other piece is the BOLD campaign, which is Bread of Life food drive.
Okay.
But doing it more so across the country, not just in a vacuum.
Okay.
So everything we do now has been, we come back for a reunion annually at
night. Right.
So my thought and vision and focus is to take this up a notch to where we're doing things in our community. So we have a ton of guys in Chicago. What are the needs of the people in Chicago? And you being there, that community, how can we be of service, and to do it in a collective fashion, and also getting guys together.
Sure.
More than anything else, getting guys together, but also getting their kids involved.
Right.
So that next generation, them taking on love, trust, and commitment as the mantra of doing things the right way, showing people you care, and doing things at a high level. that is that community that has always stuck with me, and how I raise my kids and how I engage with my wife. And a lot of it has to do with the experiences I had with the guys on those teams.
Which is really interesting because, Holtz came up with this with the saying, trust, love, and commitment. And we actually have that on the side of our national championship rings, but more importantly, he talked about it all the time in our meetings. And he would say, I love you. And you're talking about a group, you're talking about a room with 110 guys in there, and Coach Holtz was talking about love and commitment and trust. And it's great that you're able to kind of see and make that extension of not only with us, but then our kids to have the understanding of what that meant. So having a chance to kind of carry out the legacy is going to be interesting. And, hopefully you won't have a chance to kind of hear Holtz get up in your ear and, if you do something wrong, he's going to try to get that face mask, but it's not going to be there. So
I'm just going to give him his pipe and say, go sit down, Coach.
Reggie, man, it's been awesome. This has been the longest interview actually, because I'm obviously going to see you like next week or something. I think it's Wednesday or something like that. But the idea that, and what I'm trying to do here is really kind of go in depth, go beyond stats. I learned some things. I didn't know how you and Christina met, so that was kind of interesting. But kind of the understanding of kind of who Reggie is and what he's about and what his family's about is just an amazing – he's just an amazing example – or this family is just an amazing example of some great people. But I do want to say this. I think that Notre Dame is really going to miss you. I mean, there's guys there that depend on you. There's guys there that know that if they talk to Reggie, something's going to get done. And when I say guys, I'm talking about former players. And so hopefully when you leave, they have someone who's going to take over in that position, or they'll find somebody who can do what you did. And you calm players down. You got tickets for folks at the last minute. I was one of them. You got Parker Pass at the last minute. I was one of them. But more importantly, kind of allow in the care and the respect you had for the football team, you actually had for all teams. It was a soccer reunion. They had a soccer reunion. They had a fence reunion. I mean, you were there and you organized that. And so I think that this role, the person who's going to be in this role, they have some huge, although you're only 5'2" and wear like a size, they're going to have some huge, I can say that because I'm short, dude. I can say that because we're in that short, we're in that below average for our position club, okay? They're going to have some huge shoes to fill because, and I was joking before. I mean, I've been there and I've seen you talk to people on the phone and, you're in the meeting, got to step out, got to take that call. So the idea that, I just think it's going to be really difficult to find somebody to kind of fill your shoes. So, Jack and the staff is going to have.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm extending my stay through the fall.
Okay.
Not just taking off.
Right.
Because I understand the importance of the role. And one of the reasons I took the role with Holtz's Heroes Foundation is because my wife took a position in Texas, and it'll allow me to work remotely. And, I'm getting a lot of practice of working from home.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, so this fits in great. But I that was one thing I was, in talking to Jack and the administration, I'm not going to leave guys hanging because that's not what we're about,
right.
And that's whatever that transition is, I'll be working closely with, who it is. I mean, we're going through a real tough time right now with the pandemic. There's a hiring freeze because, again, there's some real pain points around this pandemic as it relates to the financials at Notre Dame.
Sure,
and
sure.
And so, again, with the hiring freeze, there's not going to bring anybody in right away, but there's an opportunity to, educate someone that's there.
Right.
Even after I transition the end of this fall, I'm still going to be available. And like I said, I made sure Jack knew that, and Jenny, because we want that connection. We've made such inroads with a lot of the different sports.
Exactly.
connectivity.
You do not want
I'm not
that
gonna
to
let
fall
that
down.
die.
You do not. And like literally, I envisioned there would have to be like maybe 2 or 3 of y'all, because I mean, dude, like I was there, man. I saw what you had to do, and it was amazing. And your responsibilities increased over the years. So, I mean, you're just phenomenal. Reggie Brooks, dude, kiss your family, kiss your wife for me. The idea that we had a great time. I mean, again, I felt like we're back in your office, back in the stadium, or that we were just on one of our Zooms having dinner together, man. So, dude, thank you very much, man.
Tell Candy, thanks for being the ultimate producer.
Yes, she is. Because
you're in great hands. So, so I got to get hats off to a woman that's, she's a saint. She's a saint. Candy, if you're listening,
she's listening. She's right here, believe me.
Okay. Thank you.
Reggie's thanking you right now. So I'd like to thank everybody that's watching on Facebook Live as well. Most of all, you said it, you kind of took my thunder, but my wonderful producer, director, my wife, Candy. This interview and along with our other interviews will be on my YouTube page at Chris Zorich 50. If you like what we're doing, please hit subscribe. Thank you very much once again, Reggie Brooks, and I look forward to hanging out with you again in a couple of days when we do our Zoom call. Dude, bro, thank you very much, man. I love you, bro.
Now I can't wait to hear what Bro Shoe and Swan.
I wait. I got my phone right here, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just waiting to get that.
Also, it's been going off, and I haven't been looking at it because I know they're dogging.
You'd be cracking up.
Right. All right, man.
All right, brother.
Thank you much,
love
man. You got love you too, brother.
Peace.
Bye.